It's been 10 years since the twin disaster that brought Ghana to a standstill. Flood and fire, horror and heartbreak. Over 150 lives lost, dozens more injured, a city traumatized. But beyond the pain and destruction, that night showed us bravery. Strangers becoming heroes and ordinary people risking their lives to help others. Ghana stood together on that fateful day. Well, a decade later, the question still echoes. Have we really learned anything? It happened on a Wednesday, June 3, 2015. It had rained heavily that day, more than usual for the season. By evening, parts of Accra were submerged under floodwaters. In the heart of the city, Kwame Nkrumah Circle was one of the worst hit areas. Dozens of people sought shelter at the gold filling station, hoping to wait out the rain. But unknown to many, a full leak from an underground tank was mixing with the floodwaters. And then came a spark from an unknown source. The station exploded. Flames, panic, screams, and devastation followed.
I was standing by the window there. The fire came from the left side. And another one made it. And then it drew the iron gates down there. The whole building was shaking. I thought it was collapsed.
We heard the military crying, "Where are you? Where are you people?" And we said, "We are here." So they came up and they told us that, you see, this time is between life and death.
In a matter of minutes, over 150 lives were gone. It was one of the deadliest disasters in Ghana's modern history.
A lot of people have lost their lives. I'm at a loss of words to express how I feel.
Investigations later revealed that this was a preventable tragedy. Poor drainage, choked gutters, unregulated construction on waterways, and a lack of disaster preparedness all played a role. What should have been heavy rain became a national tragedy because the system simply failed.
There are those who will wish to apportion blame, and quite truthfully, there's plenty of blame to go around. But when we list one by one the various mistakes and failings that contributed to this catastrophe, I hope it is not for the purpose of pointing fingers, but rather of making certain that something of this nature never again happens to our dear country.
In the days that followed, the nation mourned.
Ghana is in a state of mourning, but weeping does not solve problems. Positive action involves expertise.
A $15 million recovery fund was also announced, and DNA tests were ordered to identify the victims, and emergency services began desilting drains and clearing debris. For a moment, there was unity, resolve, a commitment to change. But 10 years on, the story sounds all too familiar. Just weeks ago, in May 2025, torrential rains caused major flooding in parts of Accra, especially East Legon Hills. A 5-year-old girl lost her life at Nanakrom in Adenta. Families were displaced, roads turned into rivers. The capital was once again overwhelmed. And this is not an isolated case. Let me tell you some from previous years. October 7, 2017, a gas explosion at Atomic Junction killed at least 7 people. In January 2022, a truck carrying mining explosives exploded in Bogoso, killing 13 and destroying hundreds of buildings. In March 7, 2023, floods in Accra led to the deaths of 3 people, including 2 children, and a collapsed building. For September 15, 2023, spillage from the Akosombo and Bong dams displaced over 35,000 people across the Volta and Eastern region. January 1, 2025, a fire at Kantamanto Market killed 2 people and destroyed thousands of stores. This list goes on and on. In the aftermath of the June 3 disaster, a 197-page report was commissioned by government, but it never saw the light of day until the Bureau of Public Safety, a private organization, intercepted and leaked it. That report detailed failures, the risks, and the recommendations, but it was never fully acted upon. 10 years on, the core problems persist: weak regulation, poor enforcement, and reactive rather than proactive leadership. So what must be done?
If we follow the laws, at least about 80% of it, I'm sure that we're going to have a minimization the devastation that we are recording now. Now that the sea is rising, it means that your retention, or before the water from the Odo and other tributaries will enter into the sea, it will take a longer time. So it's only proper that once you know that you're going to have a longer time for the water to enter into the sea, it means that you have to create your retention ponds to be wider, be able to accommodate a sizable quantity of water to minimize the extent of devastation.
It's not enough to build roads and bridges. The country needs to build resilience, because with every rainy season, we risk repeating June 3rd. And maybe the real tragedy isn't what happened back then, but that 10 years later, so little has changed. We remember the victims. We honor the heroes. But remembrance must lead to reform. Otherwise, we're just waiting for the next disaster. Judith Brown, TV3.